What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. Cory with you today, and it has been a very long time since I have done a 4K Blu-ray disc review. Things have been a little bit busy in my life, so the group videos have been pretty much all I've been able to do, but one of my favorite films of all time has recently dropped on the 4K format, so very excited today to be reviewing 2019's Uncut Gems, courtesy of the Criterion collection on 4K Blu-ray disc. So this is pretty cool, man. This movie was announced to be part of the Criterion collection a few months ago. It was slated for an October release just as a 1080p Blu-ray, because up until very recently, Criterion was not in the 4K game. They now are. They came out with a few titles this month. Citizen Kane is one of them. Mulholland Drive, Menace to Society. There's a handful of others. And Criterion actually pushed back the Uncut Gems release from October to November to accommodate creating a 4K disc for it, which is super exciting for me, just because, like I said, this is one of my favorite films. I was hoping for the best way to be able to view it, and it looks like we finally have that thanks to A24 and Criterion. So to get into the packaging on this, Criterion is always fantastic. You've got a booklet cover that goes all the way around. You've got a nice little layout on the back. Pop this guy out, and this is great. If you pop this open, it's the Furby jewelry piece that Howard shows off in the film. Really fun stuff. You've got your 4K disc on top and your standard Blu-ray on the bottom. But that's not even my favorite part. My favorite part is Criterion tends to give you little booklets with pieces of information, whether they're in poster format or regular booklets or whatever. This one is actually made to look like a catalog for Howard's jewelry shop, which is pretty fantastic. If you open it up, there's a timeline, because this movie was first conceived back in 2008. It goes from 2008 all the way until the release of this disc on Criterion Collection in 2021. You've got set photos, drop down cast. This is great. It shows different jewelry pieces like it is a catalog for Howard's shop. There's even like a customer order form and their terms and conditions on the back, which I think is great. But in between all that stuff, there's a great little article that talks about the behind the scenes, the initial vision, how this was pitched to some other actors, how it was supposed to be about Amari Stoudemire instead of Kevin Garnett. Really, really, really cool stuff in here. There's also on the back half a conversation piece called An Unserious Man, which is all about the debate of whether or not Howard Ratner's character should have been Jewish in the movie, which is another really fascinating read. There's some more film stills in here, which is great. And then, as per the usual with Criterion, they help me in my review doing the segue right into tech specs. They have a great part about the transfer here, so I'm going to actually just read it straight from the booklet. Uncut Gems is presented in its original aspect ratio of 239:1. This digital transfer is created in Dolby Vision HDR 4K resolution on an RE scan film from the original 35mm camera negative. On the 4K disc, the feature is presented in Dolby Vision HDR. On the Blu-ray, it is high definition standard dynamic range. The original Dolby Atmos soundtrack was remastered from the digital audio master files. And then it also lists who the transfer supervisor, colorist, and that Pixelogic Media was the company that went over the disc mastering. So really cool stuff in there, and it makes my job very easy. I don't even have to search to find this was scanned off the 35mm print, so we know it's film. It's native 4K DI, Dolby Atmos mix, 239:1. Really exciting stuff. So to dive into the video on this first, this is a very real and very raw feeling film. It almost feels like a documentary to a degree. So close-ups are very sharp for the very quick glimpses that you get of them. There is a lot of camera movement in this film. It's really designed to disorient you and make you anxious to a degree. And that can come across sometimes as maybe being perceived as having a soft image. I can assure you it is not. It is very sharp. The camera's just flying all over the place to really put you in that anxious setting. So colors really pop thanks to the Dolby Vision HDR treatment. Howard's bright yellow shirt is a great example, and you see that in a good chunk of the film. There's a lot of neon in his jewelry shop that also looks really cool. Everything just really flies right off the screen, which is fantastic. Also, there's a somewhat unsettling graphic in the beginning of the film where we dive into the opal, the titular gem, and it's very colorful, and it almost kind of feels like you're in the cosmos, and then it match cuts into being the inside of Howard's colon as he's getting a colonoscopy. The colors when you're flying through the cosmos are great. They really leap off the screen. The inside of Howard's colon, not so much. So there is also a layer of grain over this. It is shot on film, so if you're one of the folks that's into a super clean digital transfer, stick around later this week for a Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings 4K Blu-ray disc review. I have a feeling that one's going to be clean as a whistle. But for me, this is exactly how this film was intended to look. Criterion goes to great lengths to make sure of that. So for me, this one, it's a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think it looks fantastic, and it feels just like it was when I saw it in theaters a couple years ago. So moving into audio, we have the aforementioned Dolby Atmos mix. It's really nice. One of the key components of this film is the music. The music is very synth heavy. It is there to help ratchet up the tension. It's designed to do that, to make you sweat and feel like you're having a freaking heart attack during the film. That soundtrack is very engaging in all of the ear level speakers. So whether that's your front soundstage, your sides, or your rears, you're getting a ton of that, and it kicks in just the right places to really make you feel uncomfortable, which is, for better or for worse. My girlfriend won't watch this movie with me anymore after the first time. She said one was enough, that it was fantastic, and she never has to see it again. But I usually talk about dialogue when I do a 4K review. Dialogue is very clear through the center channel. However, there is a ton of dialogue in this film, and most of it is usually a bunch of people shouting over top of one another. So it is layered on top, and there is a ton of dialogue that also is there to create that sense of anxiety, which is what the Safdie brothers, the directors, were really looking to do. So again, really terrific. That translates really well to the disc. I was extremely happy to hear it this way. City environments, there's a lot of Howard walking and talking on the phone in New York. It feels very alive. There's a lot of stuff happening in the surround channels. You hear cabs going by, other people talking, phone conversations, people shouting, just typical city atmosphere stuff, which is really good. It really creates the feel of being in New York. So the audio for this one, there's a saying that audio is 50 to 60% of the experience, and most people never really pick up on that. I would say it's probably even more so than that in this movie, because the audio is what really cranks up all of the tension and the anxiety that you get. So for me, this one is a solid 9 out of 10. I can't say it's perfect, but it is pretty awesome. I didn't know if I'd ever get that feeling of watching it in a theater again like I did back in December of 2019, but this is pretty gosh darn close, and I'm very, very excited. So final verdict, should you pick up this disc? Yes, but with a grain of salt. These Criterion discs, this is $50 MSRP, which is a little bit steep. I would not normally spend that level of cash on a 4K disc. However, if you do your research, Criterion does 50% off flash sales pretty often. They also do a biannual buy one get one sale, so you can get 2 discs for the price of 1, essentially. So I would buy it at that time. I bought it when there was a flash sale. I paid $24.99 for it, and it just came in this week. At that price, I think it is absolutely 100% worth it. At full price, can't really say that unless you are a diehard fan of this film, or you're just a aficionado of Criterion discs or Adam Sandler movies. So, but yeah, one of my favorite films of all time, an incredible theater experience, and very happy that this translated the way it did to the disc. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. Would love to hear your thoughts. Have you seen this film? Did it make you uncomfortable when you saw it in the theaters? And would you be willing to watch it again and put yourself through that like I have several times? Drop me a comment below. Let me know. I'll make sure to respond to everyone that comes through. Also, go ahead, Like this video if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you haven't already. We've got tons of videos coming your way this week. We're going to be talking about The Shrink Next Door, talking about The Wheel of Time. We're talking about Hawkeye. I'm probably going to do a Shang-Chi 4K review because I'm really excited to check that disc out. And then Nick is also reviewing the Dexter revival over on Showtime. A whole bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline. I'm really, really excited to talk about all of it. So please stay tuned for all of that and so much more. Until next time, we will see you guys in the next video.